this on Twitter. I don't know if they're gonna see it though. So you memang tak balik ke? You memang stay kat UIA sampai habis PKP?
Alright, before awal PKP, I didn't want to go back because nak stay tolong team. But sekarang ni cerita dia, like the flight is very fragile. So it seems like I might follow the chartered flight, Sabah, balik terus. But we have yet to know the specific date lah. So now we're just waiting. Yeah.
Faham. Okay. Oh, apparently we're live now Wow. Tak perasan siap. Okay, so let me check for our audience first. If they're ready, then we can begin. Hold on, yeah. Okay. First, if they're ready. Oh, okay. So it is live. Okay, it is live. Okay, so we only have one person watching now, so tak apa dulu, tunggu dulu.
Yeah. I was just imagine it. I'm just talking with you.
Yeah, just imagine that you're talking with me. There's literally no one
I mean, like, I
can
am
hear me.
talking with you. I would imagine I'm talking only with you. You only. Yes.
Don't make me feel special, please. Just imagine that you're talking. Oh my, good check. Okay, so we have 2 people watching now. Okay, kau sabar jap. Okay, so we're going live right now. Hello, everyone. Hi. We're gonna wait for around 3 more minutes before we'll begin our second episode of the Ramadan Chit Chat Ramadan with Sister Idayu Mumtaz, inshallah. So I hope that while everyone is waiting, you guys are doing fine. I hope that Idayu is doing fine as well, inshallah. I think she's doing pretty well. I'm trying to keep myself very productive at this amount of time since I'm not in IIU. So yeah, I miss being in IIU actually to do stuff, you know.
Yeah. I think just only the past few days that I finally adapt to the isolation. It's not that it's total isolation, but like finally I'm at total peace. Before this, I would realize like it is very quiet. You know, sometimes we would meet people outside, but it's just that when you're the only one staying at your level, it's quite the silence is very rare. So
yeah, I understand. Kejap siapa tengok show, saya belanja McD esok for iftar. Okay, done promote. It's literally the easiest way to get audience. All right, so without further ado, let us begin our streaming. Hello everyone, what's up? It's Madhu here, and today we are on the second episode of Chit Chat Ramadan. So for tonight, we have Sister Idayu Mumtaz, who is also a Vice President of the IIUM Student Union, as our guest for tonight. And tonight's topic, we will be talking about the sky, the limit. So it's pretty much a rhetorical phrase to express that you can go like, the sky being the barrier of whatever that you want to and whatever that you want to achieve. So it is really what we can say, really relatable with our current situation now, given that our movements and everything that we do is restricted with the movement control order that has begun since 18th of March 2020. And I think nobody, even us both, expect for the MCO to happen and to literally things on pause. Are we, Dayu? Like, it's really,
yeah.
it's Yeah, it's just so sudden. So,
Yeah.
let us begin with our first question. So, we are still in the MCO period, and we don't know until when this is gonna last. Like people have seen probably two more phases of MCO to be carried out soon, and probably it'll last until Idul Fitri. So,
Yeah.
given this kind of situation, we want to wonder first how are currently things are doing in IIUM campus, and how's the Ramadan experience there so far, because we don't have any bazaar, we don't have any tarawih at the Shah's mosque especially. So probably some of us are actually curious, how is Ramadan going in IIUM particular with the MCO?
Yes. I can share with you for the first part of the question. So you're asking how is it now at IUM? What I can see, especially among the student leaders, the volunteers, as well as the administration, we are very
Mm-hmm.
busy with and very occupied with coordinating students, sending them back home. So they would be sent by in batches,
Mm-hmm.
and it requires a lot of coordination because, as we know, that we would be having some health check, the temperature, and
Yeah, yeah.
we would be sending, for example, 100 students right away. So I see how my friends, our friends, and in fact the administration, they are sitting in meetings for hours to make sure that all the coordination will go smoothly. Secondly, how is it Ramadan at IAM during the movement control order? As we know that even when we want to take our food, we have to practice social distancing and we have to take our food right away. And I've been praying Tarawih like we used to have our wonderful mosque here, but now we have to pray alone. At the beginning of
Mm-hmm.
Ramadan, no, it's just day 5, 6. But I noticed one thing that's very profound would be the silence and the isolation because at my block I have other people staying with me, but at my level it's just me, and I've never experienced such a loud silence. So it's very
Right, right.
different to watch religious lectures or read the Quran with such silence. It's a different kind of halwala, I would say. And now I am very
Yeah.
thankful that we have been getting free food, which is to some people we've been receiving it every day, and it's not something that I take for granted because one, of course, it saves us economically, but also just to realize that the volunteers have been serving us for months, giving us food even during Ramadan. So that's what's up.
I see, I see. So, of course, things are like being super different, and it's a good thing that most of you are still holding through, and to know that some of you are still there giving support to each other. So I think that matters more,
Yeah,
to keep each other back on that track, right? So we all know that Islam itself encourages us to give to one another. So, and like the value of giving is not only to others but to also ourselves. Besides, it's
yeah,
during Ramadan especially, so we're obligated to sadaqah, to pay for our alms, our zakah as well. So,
yeah.
in your opinion, first, Idayu, as a daughter, as a friend, as a student, and especially holding the amanah of the vice president of IIM, the union, why do you think it's important for you to be helping the community, society in general, despite having this kind of, we say, barrier that could possibly hold you back from giving to the society? And what motivates you to do that?
So, oh, can you repeat? I think I lost you at what motivates me for to what?
So should I repeat again? So
Yeah. So you were
I think the
asking
line is
what
pretty bad a bit.
why that we should be out there helping others as well as what motivates me,
Yeah,
is it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
it's I learn a lot from my friends that they're the ones who show me why it's very important to put ourselves out there. I would consider myself an introvert in a sense that I like to be alone. That's why I
Mm-hmm.
didn't struggle so much during the isolation. But it's just that first, maybe we can go back to why I joined university. So my mindset was quite narrowed back then. And now, even now, I still try to widen it. But back then, I just come to IIM. I just want to finish my degree. I want to score well, and the goals were very much centered around myself. Like I want this, I want this, I want this. So
Right.
because I think we grow up in a sort of a narrative in our society. There's still this narrative that you have to be successful so that you can get a good job, so that you can get a good house, which is very important. I don't undermine that. But at the same time, I think when we start to mix with other people, that we realize we do not grow up from the same backgrounds, and we see that there is some sort of differences. And yeah, since you started with Islam encourages us to give, but Islam also said that we are created in different forms and different genders or races, etc. We're one form, like one human. But yeah, of course, our face and our outward appearance are different. So I think when I started to meet people who are different from me, in a sense that they read more from me, they're more experienced from me, and I learned that there are more experiences I have yet to taste. And the more we mix with people, we realize that there are some people who are unprivileged or people who have better strengths than us. So in this sort of ecosystem, what I learned, what I am and the people taught me is that we are here and our existence is only meaningful in relation to what we have to give to other people. That's all. If all this time it's about just us wanting to achieve things for ourselves, um, now I am also like trying to train myself not to put meaning on very material things, but the value that we can add to other people. So our meaning really depends on what we can give to others. Always, we've heard this a lot of times that our service to others is the rent that we pay on earth. I think that's very profound. Yeah, but I'm also still learning to teach myself to give continuously.
Right, yes, yes. Because sometimes, even when you feel like it's hard for you to give out to other people in dire times of need, but then, in a way, if you actually be more kind and thoughtful to other people,
Yeah,
immediately it feels like God is actually trying to ease your way out. So that's why
yeah,
it's encouraged for us to keep giving and giving, and then sometimes
yeah,
even when you feel like you're very restrained at some point, but then you still keep on giving for others, probably that other people will pray for better sustenance for yourself, and then probably inshallah your way will be more eased in the future. So
yeah.
that's just
There
things
is
work,
something
right? Like
when
something
I've been
practice.
I'm pondering on your question, and I realize that I am not rich enough to give a lot of financial donation, for example, in a
Mm.
sense that maybe these days Ramadan we should do that a lot more often. But when giving is that it could be in a form of encouraging somebody to be courageous enough to do something that they've wanting to do. It could be in terms of yeah encouragement or words of wisdom, and in fact just giving as simple as what can I help you with? Just asking our team, is there anything I can do? And I feel very humbled by the question because I know that my friends give a lot more and I have to give more. So just to share with all of us that sometimes we might not have the same advantages to give perhaps financially, but there are many ways for us to give and serve. Or maybe we can just ask ourselves, how can I make the people around me happier or have an easier life? So if we could answer that and if we could execute the answer, we are actually being useful. Just be a good help in this world.
Right, right. Because when we are talking about giving back or contribute to the society, like you said earlier, it's not just limited to monetary or financial
Yeah,
aids. It can be as small efforts as being there for your friend who is currently alone in the mahala, for example. And that is a way
Yeah.
for you to give back. Like you're actually assuring that you're there to give mental support. So when you ease other people's other people's lives, and then inshallah your life will be eased in the future, inshallah. Um Probably for other students, people of our age, they would think that, oh, I'm a nobody compared to, for instance, if people were to compare with you, like, oh, I'm not someone in the student union, or I don't have a position in an organization such as you, so I cannot do much to help others. So sometimes people have this kind of mindset. Do you think that we need to be in such a position to be helping others, to contribute to society? Probably there's something more that we elaborate from that, because people tend to think that, oh, to help someone, you have to have the resources, the money, etc. So probably you can elaborate from
Mm.
question.
Yes. So that's a very great question. I think there are two things that we have to discuss and look into from that question. So first of all, is that why is it important, or why does it matter to be in a position in the first place? And secondly, what is the meaning of student union? So I'll like break it down and try to break it down and share what I think about that. So when we are in a position of power, or we are in a place having more capacities, like you said, maybe being in a position differentiate us from other people. But it's just that how I see it is that when we hold a position, we could do something that we might otherwise couldn't do if we don't have it. For example, when today we released about our open letter to the ministry as well as the policymakers. It depends, as we know that power could be because you have a lot of followers, or because you are holding a very formal position like being a president or secretary or whatever. So when we hold this position, the position implies that we have a set of responsibilities, and it's not glamorous. In fact, it's a question on us: have you done your job well? For example, at presidential office, our job would be releasing statement regarding big issues that affect many of our students, like online learning, for example. So we have to execute those positions. And maybe, yes, we do have the advantage to do that when we are holding office or holding power or holding a that position. But also, secondly, when we have to look back at the whole idea and philosophy of student union, is that the end goal is to empower our students. And that is one of the things that we try to break, that we should stop having this idea that those elected and those who are holding power are this, esoteric and amazing people that you cannot reach out to. The more you win and the more you are being in office, the more we have to be reachable and accessible by students so that they can tell what their concerns are. So that's number one. But secondly, we want people feel belong to the students union. For example, if they have ideas, the way they see how the students union is running, or if there's any issue at the university, I hope that in the future, sooner or later, we can have this culture of students getting involved, wanting to solve issues. Like we see previously when we have the mineral water issue, we see students, some of them are moving their own societies and organization to raise funds and actually provide that. We do not have to wait for the leaders. In fact, we have to see ourselves in the student union, just inside the student union. Yes, we do have the executive. If I can share, we do have the executive officers, and then we have ISLA, they have the Student Leaders Assembly made up of the presidents. Then we have the members or the students, the ordinary students, so-called ordinary. But they're not ordinary. We are strong. If we go to our social media or anything that we do, we are only strong when we have the support from the students. And we only have the support from the students when the students trust us. So, and the students would trust us if they feel like they can voice out their opinions. So that is why, honestly, when I see comments from students, that I really hope they do feel like if they have any suggestion, yes, I can directly talk with our student leaders without feeling inferior or anything. Because when we are elected into office, we are your servant, and we are in need of your expertise as well as your ideas and insights. Because here's the thing: when we are in position, sometimes you're so busy. Like, okay, today we're going to do this, but all of our students, they have the time to uh, explore whatever adventures or endeavors they have. And we, as a student union, can advantage from your leadership, from your experiences, from your knowledge and skills. So let us not wait for somebody to have this sort of like high recognition to actually feel like they can lead. So yeah, that would be one, that we have to understand why position matters in the first place, just so that we have extra things we can do that others might not be able to do, but it's actually should be translated into a sense of duty and responsibility. And then the student union's goal or reason of existence is to make everyone feel that if I want to change something, I can lead the change. It's just that we executive officers are here to help you if you need help in terms of the admins. Also, we all are leaders in our own ways. Seriously, like Shasha, you are very talented in public speaking or emceeing. You are leading and inspiring people in some ways. You might not, for example, having or the any particular position. Like you yourself is a brand, and you are leading people. You don't know who you are inspiring to venture out into this area. So yes, we recognize what are our strengths and weaknesses, as well as we focus on what we can control, and from there we can start leading. Don't tell anyone that we cannot lead. I mean, leadership is a journey. So we, because I myself, I have my mistakes. So we start leading in any big or small ways that we can start.
All right. So it's very interesting because you suddenly mentioned about the student union, how students' voices actually matter in a way to, because like how student union is there to help convey students' voices to the
Yeah.
authorities, and that will be a question we'll be further elaborating in the next question. So before that, what you can probably suggest for the youth to contribute? Because sometimes they would feel demotivated. Oh, I'm just a youth and I don't pretty much have anything compared to other people who are not the youth. So how can I really contribute to society? As you've been involving yourself with everything involving student and youth empowerment, what are the ways that you can suggest for us to contribute to the society, if not financially, perhaps?
That is a very amazing question that I would also ask. How can I contribute more to the people? Because now we have this movement control order and we know we are waiting to start our academic studies, etc. I would say, first of all, as an advice to myself, that we should stay curious. And by staying curious, it's not just reading books, but getting to know the world outside there, so that we know, so that we won't live in just this bubble or in this room, because there is always another experience and another life. So we have to stay curious, wanting to know something that we have not known before. And then as we explore this world, hopefully by actually physical experiences, we should, I think what really matters is there are issues around us and they are waiting for all of us to solve them. So we have to open our eyes. What are the issues, or perhaps what are the matters near me that I care about, that I can contribute in? It could be there are a lot of things. In fact, if we go to the sustainable development goals, all the goals, there must be at least one point that we can take and we look around ourselves and actually, oh, this is a problem in my community or in my neighborhood or in my mahalla that has not been solved. So what can I do to do it? So we can start from there, finding a cause that is very close to our heart. For me, for example, I think something that's very personal to me, it could be, maybe we could reflect back to what something that has hurt us before. It could be, we are very passionate about education. I'm very passionate about education because I'm from Sabah and I live in Kota Kinabalu city, but when I join my parents to the outskirts and when we go to the suburban, we see that students, they do not have even have internet access. And that is why we have to ask ourselves, okay, what would happen if I live in their position. Or it could be something very near, like looking around us. Uh, Maybe some of us witness domestic abuse, abuse in marriage. So this is a cause that hurt us personally, and we might can do something about it. All right. So the next question would be, I think I also have that moments when we see an issue, we feel like, oh, I want to do something big, like start a movement and change the policy, which is amazing. It's very important to dream big, and I'm also trying to teach myself to dream big because we are very young and we have so much time and resources around us to be responsible about how we can make those changes. We see in Bali, for example, it is youth that are leading movement to ban single-use plastic, uh, and they are barely 15-year-olds. They're already leading that movement. But going back to my point previously, that making the change, like I said, we find something that is close and personal to us. I believe that there must be things that make us angry, angry not for ourselves, but angry for other people. Maybe we're angry, oh, why is this person disrespectful towards the other gender, for example? So, or why is domestic abuse not being addressed? And we find what makes us angry or sad, not for ourselves, but for other people, because we've been talking about giving meaning and also giving to other people per se. So when we have found something that is close to our hearts, we can start with just educating ourselves more about it, because the more we learn about what are the facts and statistics about this issue, the more we become informed about it. It's very important to be informed, and then we can educate other people. Like Shasha, if I can share, working on the Students' Union, we've been working on it from last year, and I also have been learning what is the system that we should adopt, etc. But it's very easy to feel like we want to give up when we realize, oh, all these months people still do not understand what is the students union functions in comparison with KBS, etc. But that is why I have to keep on reading history of students union and all these other things, so that when we have this knowledge and we know that, oh, this is why it matters, and then slowly from that knowledge, at the same time we try to seek what are the ways that I can do something about it. For example, I can share. So this is something that we can start, like anyone can start. I think it shouldn't we should go about with the idea is, how can I make a better change in this world by changing myself better first. So for example, this is very interesting because as we know that at IUM we used to ban plastic bag one time. There's this one time it's just complete ban, and but I think we still need to have more knowledge. Why is it very important? Because we know at the other side of the world, the young people are demonstrating on the streets to for to push the governors and policymakers to do something about um, oil and all these industries, because climate change is real. And one of the factors that are killing animals, for example, is our usage of plastic. Even killing us, our planet. Just imagine this, Ramadan. We try to gather and accumulate all the plastics we've been using. So I've been we've been having iftar every day at IAM, and every time it's in the plastic container. So I try to wash it. I just started this a few days. I wash it and I just stack the plastic containers we've been getting, the plastic containers, the plastic bag, as well as the plastic cup. Just one person, how many plastics have we been using for 1 week? And if your passion is maybe video making, you can make a video over that just to educate ourselves and educate other people. So we make a video on, I'm one person and this is how much plastic I've been using. Imagine 3,000 people are using it. Imagine 3 million people are using this much plastic every day. We are all killing the planet, and it's irresponsible and it's un-Islamic. So the way of contributing is quite fantastic. If I can share one last thing, that I remember I went to this, what was it called? University Scholars Leadership Symposium. So I went there and they had over thousands of representatives over many countries. And what they did is that one of this person, she started a movement against child marriage. And what she did basically is that she said, because she has made the change. I am yet to arrive there, but she said that recognize our strengths, recognize what issues that are close to our heart, and try to combine our strengths with that. So if our strength is public speaking, we use our public speaking to advocate about it. If our strength is organizing people, like we know Khalid from MRCC, Khalid Firdaus. He's the chairman of the Mahala Representative Coordination Council, and he is very good at coordinating people. So he should contribute in that. So if our strength is in other things else, find our cause and contribute in that way.
Right. So, as what you've explained earlier, there are so many ways to contribute to the society, even to the environment. The given examples that you said earlier. So I think that there's actually no legit excuse that could stop youth from really contribute or making contribution to the society. But then I think like there is this old mentality, old belief, or but in the past, people would usually say that people our age, we're still too young to know about anything or to make any changes. You know, like when Malay people say they ate more salt than we do. So, so they say because of that, we can't really voice out our opinions on things that matter to us. So probably that is another barrier that kind of like stopped, not really stopped, but more like became a barrier for the youth to start contributing, to start involving themselves in giving back to the society. So do you think that if this mentality still exists, which probably we both can agree on, what is your opinion about this whole old young people don't really know about things anymore? So what is your opinion about it?
All right. My opinion is that first of all, we have to establish the fact that the young people make up a huge population of in our country and even in the world. And doesn't matter the size of the population, but the young people are 100% the future of this world. So how can we expect these young people to keep on continuing making the world or the planet sustainable and safe and kind if we do not trust them enough to think about issues that matter to us? That is why I've been thinking for a long time, like, what on earth does empowerment mean? And from my personal experience is that I feel the most empowered when I am given a responsibility. The only way we can grow is when the task at our hand is something that's slightly bigger than what we have been capable of. So when we are being given a responsibility that requires us to go out of our comfort zone, we would definitely change as a person and we become better, inshallah. And the thing about change is that it cannot just we have one task at hand and then we do that one off. It has to be continuous. And another thing that we can say all the people have to recognize is that we have the energy as well as we have the resources, the way that we are very familiar with the technology, we are creative if we're encouraged to be creative. So I just can say about maybe one very, 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 very recent example. We happened to talk with the rector previously in the past days because we met him and last time we were just sending the students back home and we managed to like speak with him and he has always been consistent about empowering students and here's what I can share what he said that students you are the ones who will be we are the indicator whether or not the education work or not. So he always welcomed he said okay he said stop being too formal about or being too bureaucratic. We understand that there is bureaucracy, but if we feel like it's very important for us to speak, we have, for example, about the online learning, right? Because the lectures are saying here and our students are all over the place. So if we have any proposal or ideas, we write it properly and then we present it. And from this way that we actually show our maturity. On the other side of the coin, I can share. All right, so I'm not saying any names, but I do experience some people who are older than I am, and they're saying straight to my face, like me, "You're still a student. Why are you so busy doing these things?" Student union, yeah, and then they were saying, "Why are you so concerned about how the policies are being made, etc." And I was also thinking, oh, am I doing the wrong thing? So to break this, I think starting with us first, our friends who are watching, and even myself, I had the confidence to realize that I am a young person and I can voice out my opinions and thoughts. When we see, first of all, other young people outside the world are also doing the same thing. That is the easiest way to do it. Comparison when we compare our young people and the young people outside leading movements, perhaps leading some change, that is a good way. Like we should ask ourselves, why is it people my age here are thinking this way? People my age outside there are doing things that I have not seen in my country or in my state or at my campus, for example. We also can see people who usually what I see and I notice among young people who are making changes. It doesn't have to be big changes, but at least I can start with my friends whom I respect. I have a lot of friends in the debate club who are doing things that I feel, I mean, I love the way they think, I love the way they write and speak, etc. What I realize is that they live in this environment at home where their parents encourage them to speak out their thoughts. So in the classroom, they don't feel afraid about saying out what they think. And we're not saying that we should just really say anything. We should keep our manners. But when we think something is right and something is truthful, then it is right and truthful, and we have to say it. In fact, I appreciate some of our lecturers in the class who would go into the class and ask us provocative questions because they want to celebrate our opinions and thoughts. How can we imagine building young people and we stop them from thinking, we stop them from voicing out their opinions, we stop them from joining movement, we stop them from having stance over issues. Now we're 20 plus. Then by the age we're 30 years old, they expect us to already have this level of thinking and articulation that's unprecedented. It doesn't work like that. If we want by the age our age of 30 or 40, by the time perhaps you have your own TV show or maybe somebody become a policymakers, etc. These things build over the time when we are young. So and we can go on about why we should give young people opportunities and we should empower them with resources and motivation to try. There is so much value in trying. If we don't try, I think you also experience that. I know it's true for me because when I was this is a very simple personal example. When I was uh, in primary school, I, I never speak to people. I do not speak a lot to people, let alone speaking in front of other people. But I have an English teacher. I think we all have English teachers who make us speak in front of the class, give us assignment, write poetry, write speeches, and present it. So I remember it started from there, and then going on to foundation studies, and all these opportunities make us gain confidence that, oh, I can try. And we really must appreciate and we must teach ourselves that it is okay, it is important to try, and it is okay to make mistakes. That people outside the arena, I like this one poem, I can call, is it a poem? Yeah, so it's like a post. People, so we can see our life or our surrounding like an arena, and we are the fighter inside that arena. People outside the arena, they can say, oh, he's so bad, he's this and that, he should done this and that. People can criticize us, but nothing compares with us being inside the arena and bleeding inside there, sweating and learning our mistakes, but at least we are doing something. And I think that's very important.
All right. So for that, with that, you've actually answered like both fifth and sixth question, because the sixth question whether we should change way of or probably support. But what we can agree here is that we need to have both sides. While the older generation might could contribute some of their perception. But then by the end of the day, like, we will evolve, our world will evolve from time to time. So sometimes the change of opinion and change of perspective is actually really necessary. Moving to the next question. In the past few months, actually, I believe that the whole of IIUM can really see the great impact and contributions the student union has done for IIUM ever since its establishment. Like, even though it's been newly established, it has not been fully like 1 year yet since its official establishment, but there's so many positive changes that we can see. And because of the proactiveness of IIUM Student Union, we can see that they're really living up the value of IIUM leading the way when it comes to, students' welfare during the MCO period. So
Amin,
during this
inshallah.
period so far, in your contribution, in your opinion, what is the some of the toughest challenges you have faced with others while you're helping the IIM community? Because, like, probably since you are still relatively your constitution is relatively still new, so probably there are certain challenges that you faced this month while you're trying to help the IIM community while facing this MCO period. So what are those challenges that you could share with us tonight?
All right, the toughest challenge. It would be a long list, and in fact, if I can call off our comrades now, they would have different challenges. In public relation, it's a different challenge. Being a secretary, a different challenge. Being an education officer, different challenge. But what I can share is that maybe you can see it in this way. If I can, since there are a lot of challenges, so I can break it this way. So first, we have the students' union, the officers, the internal system, and then we have the
Mm-hmm.
entities that we deal with, and then we also have our students. So inside the students union, I think we have a challenge. It's all equally tough, but I'm going to keep it short. Inside the students union, since we are sort of a new establishment and we want to be different from the SRC, so it would take time to educate myself and my comrades that students union should act differently from any other societies. So there are three measurements at least to measure that we are actually doing students union work. First of all, solving students issues that are affecting large scale that cannot be solved by any other Okay, can everyone hear us though? I can go on? May I go on? I will repeat
Oh,
back
it
a bit
was it was
what I
paused
said.
earlier.
Okay, no problem. All
No,
right,
no, no.
so first of all,
The internet was kind of a bit cranky.
all right, should I go on?
The internet was a bit cranky. You were saying something. Probably you can continue. Yeah, yeah. You should go on.
Okay, all right. So, okay, I was saying so the toughest challenge, but I think because this is the only time that I can share with our fellow friends, so it is equally tough challenge. So, um, about the students' union, yes, it's very important that we stabilize internally, stable, stable internal condition, and then getting the trust of the students and getting the trust of the administration, because we want them to accept us to be part of the policy making or making decision, any decision it could be. We want them to involve us. So internally, we want to I want to educate myself and my comrades that we should focus on solving students issues or policy change, whether at campus or at national level. And last but not least, high impact programs that perhaps include the national community or international communities. So these are at least three things that would differentiate SU and SRC and the other student societies, but mostly
Mm.
focus on representing students' interests and voice. That is why we have to do the open letter today, right? So secondly, would be in terms of getting trust, because Now inside the student union, for example, we have our executive officers, 15 people, and the ISLA. But in terms of with our students and with administration, you see the interesting thing is that this is the toughest challenge that we see when we deal with our students, like when you guys and our friends answered the survey, when we have 4,000 plus responses, we read your responses and we see at micro level what students are facing. When we join administration meeting, we see how the administration would see things at macro level because they have the responsibility to coordinate and manage and monitor everyone. We have 21,000 students. So sort of the students didn't become the center point to how do we come to a fair stance to really accommodate and protect our students at the same time be realistic about what are the capacity of the university and where we can go forward. So that would be the toughest challenge for that. Yeah, sort of I can say that when you're in the middle and there are a lot of first of course the students interests are our first priority. At the same time we have to be rational and knowledge based about assessing the reality around us and in dealing with the entities that we want change to happen from them. For example, the university administration or the leaders from other societies. Yes. So building this trust over time in our decision making.
So, I actually really look up to student union, like the whole committees as a whole, especially with how you're actually dealing with students' questions from time to time, and how you're actually living up to your function of not only being the middleman between the students' voices and the university management, but then the fact that there is shared governance. That you're working towards shared governance with the
Yeah.
university management. You somehow, despite the challenges that you've listed, you managed to overcome and really came forward as the not only as a student council, but then the real representation of students' voices for a better student welfare in university management in general. With that, actually, what I noticed earlier this evening is that earlier today, you made your side made a very bold statement to the Malaysia's Minister of Higher Education pertaining to the execution of online learning and basically the whole curricular and academic structure post MCO later on. And for those of you who may not know, to those that just joined, in the statement, the IIUM Student Union mentioned that there are the data on students' feedback on doing classes, and the results show that there are students who find online learning really inconvenient due to having lack of resources from their home. Like they have bad internet connection, and even if they do have internet connection, the coverage is not really good, and they could feel really stressed and burdened because they're not being in a what we call a conducive environment to conduct
Yeah.
to do an online learning, right? And like
Yeah.
many students are privileged to, have or be in a good space for you to learn during the online classes. So
Yeah.
reading the replies, I actually noticed this one reply who, although others are actually applauding this action because you're actually speaking up for the students, there are also this reply who said that student union is actually being too ambitious and that you should only focus on making changes that to the IIUM community. While I think otherwise of it, what do you have to say to that? Or probably if the students actually watching this right now, what would you tell that person about her question?
All right. So yes, I agree with you that when we release the open letter and we receive some reactions are quite opposing one another. In fact, we expect that because if I can share, when we made the survey and we see that the student population is divided in this matter. So we have a huge number of students saying that all right, let's go for online learning, or and we also have a quite thousands of students if we want to calculate it that No, we are not ready because I am living in Pedalaman Sabah, and when I want to do my assignments, usually when I am at home, I want to do my assignment, I want to do research, I would have to go outside at the cyber cafe in town, and then I can do my assignment. I cannot even, she said, I cannot even Google at Google Scholar find decent articles. So let's go back to the reasons of existence for the Students' Union. The Students' Unions exist. It's called the union. We exist to represent students' voice as well as protect our interests in the education ecosystem. What is the goal for it? Of course, student empowerment as well as policy change. We believe that we are the pressure group to make sure that changes that have to happen must happen slowly, surely. It has to go to the direction of better change for the students. So going back to today's letter, see, my friends, we are facing a crisis. I don't know if everyone realized that or not. We are facing a crisis that experts and scholars are saying it will be far worse than the financial crisis in 2008, meaning we will have recession and a lot of systems are going to change, including our education system. Like we've been hearing this a lot of times, we cannot go back to normal. And from our data that we collected earlier, we see that students are affected by many factors, and somebody has to address this. And our job at the Students' Union is to speak up, not only for the students, but especially for students who are voiceless, who could not speak up for themselves, aka the minorities. And if you notice in the letter, we do not say like, okay, go for online learning or boycott online learning. It doesn't work that way because we've been having the privilege to and the benefit to meet with our administration, and we see from their point of view as academia, because the university do have interests as an institution that have to educate people. So that is why in that letter we say there are things, you see, when we talk about online learning, it's not just about, all right, let's let's discuss, should we use Zoom or should we use Google Classroom? It's beyond that. What we see is that it's a crisis. We have to acknowledge that. We have to acknowledge that different universities have different realities. USM is different from IUM. IUM maybe have international students. USM maybe have started with their policies on online learning. Some are more advanced from another because we have human sciences. They are a science university, for example. And then that's number two, that different universities have different realities and environment. So that is why university autonomy in making its decision is very important. And thirdly, we have different factors that are dividing our students now. And we realize that it's not just about our deans coming up with a more flexible assessment. It's not just about the flexibility of the assessment, but since our students are returning home, and we know that we have, oh my god, if you've been to Sabah or any rural areas even around Gomba, we know that some people, even in the cities, we have poor people. So what are have the government or the ministry said anything? Is there any allocation of money already to say, okay, we'll give free laptops or we'll give, all right, previously we have free gigabytes, for example. So these things. But in terms of our education, have there been new policies or new move and action, the government saying that we are going to do this? Because we know that it would take the government cooperating or having partnerships with telecommunication companies to solve these issues, among other factors. So we have to speak out on that. That is why you see, that is why the letter is like that. And I understand many of us also want to graduate fast and all that, but we are just doing our job. In fact, in our students' union, many of us just say, okay, let's just start with online class tomorrow because I'm in my room and I just have the time to study. But really, when we are part of an organization, especially when we call ourselves a union, we have to be just about our stance. It's quite powerful, whatever we say as a union. And our responsibility is to really speak out for the voiceless, the ones who have least voice, as well as push for policy change. if the students' union should not be speaking up, should not be ambitious. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, please, after this show, you just go on Google and you try to look at the manifesto of University Malaya Students' Union back in 1960s, if I'm not mistaken. If you feel like we are ambitious, their manifestos were way more ideal. They were talking about, they were fighting for the people's welfare, about their wage, about equality. And oh my God, if I can go back, look at that manifesto of UMSU back in 1960s. They were 100 times way more ideal and more ambitious than we are. They want to solve the nation's problem. That's all I can say. So there's are two things that we are not as ambitious yet. Actually, we can do way more if student unionize because we are 21,000 students at IUM, and across the country we have 1 million plus students. We have a strong voice, as well as it is our duty to speak up. And I know that it makes some people have disagree, but there's also our hidden agenda though. Our hidden agenda is that we want to get people start talking about online learning, so that it's not just the makers thinking about how we should continue our education, but get the students think about what is best.
So, like what you explained earlier, actually, not opinion, your statement, it's not even being too ambitious because it's involving the future, the academic status of us all. So
Yeah.
sometimes because we fall under the supervision of the Ministry of Higher Education, so of course there must be at one point we need some consistency in terms of making a policy when it comes to online learning. So yeah, it's not a matter of one being ambitious or not, but it's like
Yeah.
you're actually demanding, like you're actually representing our voices where we always demand for them to be more strict and more firm when it comes to making their policy. So
Yes.
that
But in
actually
fact,
wraps up our whole session
if I
tonight.
can add just a bit, that if you feel there are better
Yeah,
ways for
yeah,
us to
sure,
do
sure,
things,
sure.
to all our friends, that if you feel like there are better ways for us to do things
Mm-hmm.
to improve next time, we are more than welcome. We open our arms to get the criticism and feedback. Please directly write to us. What are the issues and what are the solutions for betterment in the future? Yeah. Thank you, Shasha. Yes.
All right. Okay. So, like she said earlier, if you have any concerns or you have any idea on to talk about these student issues, then you can literally just mention IIUM Student Union on their Twitter to discuss about it, and then inshallah they will really respond to you. I mean, I salute IIUM as your responsiveness to students' question on Twitter. So, kudos on your team on that. So, with that, we've actually reached the end of our The Sky is the Limit session where we talked about how to really reach up to your potentials, and really the sky is really just your limit. We don't have to answer Q&As from the viewers. So but if you have any questions that you want to direct to Idayu personally, then you can just search for her on the social media. Probably Idayu, you want to quote your social media on Twitter or wherever that people can reach you for them to ask questions to you in the future?
Yeah, definitely. You can I prefer if you go to my Instagram, Idayu Mumtaz 18. I have my actually phone number there, but I prefer that people directly WhatsApp me because I don't really open DMs, but I try to as much as possible to answer that. Is it possible that I just answer one question? I think I saw one student asking something which is very personal. If I can answer in 1 minute, can we accept that question in the chat? I just saw. Um, yeah, so there's my social media,
Hold
Idayu
on.
Mumtaz 18. Yeah. Uh, there's a question from Dayanur Fatini about meltdown. I think there was very uh, because people see that I'm always happy all the time, but I do
Yeah,
have
yeah. Hold on. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, okay.
She was asking. There's actually one question. Hold on. Why is it so pausing? There's a lot of pausing. Okay, so
Yeah.
all right, Idayu. So 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute, very shortly. So, our friend here, Diana Fatini, asked if I ever experienced
Okay,
any meltdown because,
so there's one question.
yeah,
Okay, so there's a question. Whether you've had any meltdown from all the challenges that you faced as a as being a part of IIM Student Union. Have you faced any meltdown, like you're too tired to deal with these kind of people, and what did you do to overcome that situation? Probably it's something that the viewers can benefit from, like when they too feel or face a meltdown when they're doing something and they feel like they're on the verge of really just giving up. So
yeah.
what and how do you deal with that kind of situation, and what would you say to them?
Yes. So that is why I feel it's very important for us to address that question because people often see that I'm energetic all the time or having all this smiley face. But there was a one time, I think at the end of last year, when it was mentally challenging me and I almost have a breakdown or have this very deep moment with my friends that I feel like crying. And in fact, I cried many times. I just want to share about this, especially some of you want to run for the students union in the future or we want to do things. I just want to say that I learned from my mistake that it's very important to say no and know when to stop. As much as what we do, we love to do it, but know when to stop and know when to rest. And know when to stop and know when to rest, as well as have a good support system. Sometimes we're so busy just waking up early in the morning and then go back late home, but we don't talk our issues with somebody. So have a friend and spend the time. Sometimes you say, "Oh, I'm so busy to meet my friend," but have a friend and speak out your thoughts. Share. Don't keep things to yourself just because you feel like, oh, you have to keep on working. That's quite unhealthy. My last sentence: when we take care of ourselves, we can serve other people better. So make sure that we put in self care as we serve other people as well. That's all. Thank you.
Right. So yeah. So, while we are actually, thinking what other people, at one point we have to think about as well. And if you feel like you're being too much, then probably it's just a reminder for you to take a moment to really take deep breaths and pause and continue to move forward even more. Right.
Yeah.
So I think did you receive any question, or can we just like close the session, inshallah?
Yeah, inshallah. Um, yeah, I just feel very personal about the question just now, but it's up to you. I will leave it to you, Shasha, if you want. I do not mind, yeah.
Okay, all right. So if you have any other questions, because I don't the internet connection is actually permitting me to really
Okay,
interview Idayu further. Have like
understood.
any other question that you want to direct to Idayu, then you can reach her through her social medias
Yeah,
earlier. Thank you so much,
yeah,
Idayu, for spending your time for the Chit Chat second episode tonight. Thank you so much.
Shasha, thank you so much for
All
having
right,
me,
so
as well as
that
Amira from
wraps up
IMTD.
the whole
Yeah,
thing. I hope you're welcome. So again, thank you so much, everyone, especially the viewers, for watching the Chit Chat Ramadan season two. I mean episode two. Stay home, stay in, break the chain, and keep yourselves hydrated. Selamat berpuasa,
yeah.
and thank you so much. Good night, everyone. I'm Shasha Madu, and we'll see you on the next episode, inshallah. Bye.
Goodbye.